Sunday, October 1st, 2:20 Mountain Time, 2017. Got some more information on the Mississippi River and the water disappearing. There's a 120-mile stretch of bare river bottom being exposed, and there's actually more than what I've told you earlier. In fact, I just got some more information yesterday and the day before, and I'm going to share that with you now. The information comes from a little farther north, up in Missouri and Illinois. I'll start with Missouri. Gentleman told me he saw the video. He has family that lives along the Mississippi River in Missouri, and he just heard from them. He asked, what's the river look like? And they said that all the rivers in the area are really low. News not saying anything different about the Mississippi. And that's from around the Merrimack-St. Clair area. Here is a email I got from an observer up in Quincy. Saw your video on water missing out of the Mississippi. The same thing happened along the Quincy, Illinois bottoms, and that would be north of where I just showed you these pictures here. But it's starting to get that way from what she's saying. A huge sandbar has appeared earlier this summer. It's right in front of the bar called The Dock. It has really made many boaters rethink where they want to be on the river. Right now, Daryl, that's her husband, and other farmers are upset because the co-op, this is important, listen. Right now, the farmers are upset because the co-op raised the basis on grain because they cannot carry full loads on the barge or it gets stuck on the new sandbars in the river. She's going to try to get down there this weekend and send some pictures of the river. She said the other day that the new sandbar was full of geese. Daryl said there are other sections of the Mississippi that are doing the same thing, going dry, new sandbars appearing, and no one is sure why. She said there's no reason for it as far as a drought's concerned because they've gotten plenty of rain all summer long, especially to the north. And that is true. And they've gotten major storms, if you guys remember, in Missouri and the Branson, the Ozarks area. I mean, that was a full-fledged superstorm that they had to release water from dams and reservoirs. So there's been plenty of water up there. One thing I want to point out, where this one starts, and this is the Mississippi at Tiptonville, and where the bottom one ends is the Mississippi River at Helena, Arkansas. That is directly in line with the New Madrid Fault. And what this is telling me, as an observer too, I think maybe something happened after, and I'm just trying to think outside the box here because that water is disappearing. Yes, the water is low along the Mississippi, north of where it's completely absent. I don't know about south, but I do know the river is low. Up Quincy's up in here, the Merrimack, St. Clair's through here, so the river's low. But you've got right here a complete absence of water, and that is directly above the New Madrid seismic zone. So here's what I'm thinking. The big earthquake that took place a few days ago, there was a very large earthquake on Friday, September 8th. Remember the 8.1? That was just off the coast, maybe 8.2. Nevertheless, that is a huge earthquake. Less than 2 weeks later, a 7.1 strikes inland, and you could see basically where the fracture ran, where the buildings collapsed in Mexico City. Terrible scene. Another very large earthquake. What if something triggered the New Madrid? Not to a complete quake yet, because there have been no significant quakes in the New Madrid. All I'm saying is there was a lot of movement, a big thrust, especially with the 8-pointer. What if the water is disappearing? I'm just trying to think outside the box here. What if the water is disappearing into that fracture? Because it's right above the New Madrid fault zone. If you draw a line as the crow flies, the New Madrid fault zone, I think, is 100 and some odd miles. These river gauges that are showing extreme low levels extend right around 140 miles. And that is right in the middle of the New Madrid Fault Zone. Right here. So what if this water is just seeping into the ground in some sort of new formed crack and it's disappearing here, exposing these new sandbars? That's what I'm thinking. Because there's no drought. There's been plenty of rain up there. Harvey dropped a bunch of rain right here in Clarksville, Tennessee, that rose, I think it was the Red River. Wait a minute, right? Yeah, the Red River near Port Royal. 40 feet! So there's been plenty of rain. So much to the point when we were watching Harvey make landfall, we thought that there could be an episode of the Brown Ocean effect where the ground is so saturated and warm that the hurricane doesn't know the difference between land and water. That's what the Brown Ocean effect is, because the ground is so moist. So why is it so dry here, right above the New Madrid Fault Zone? Why is it so dry there? Is there a crack the water is leaking down into? That's what I'm thinking. Was it caused by the recent large quakes way over in New Mexico? Did it somehow trigger something under the soil that we can't see? I know it's deep, but under the crust? Maybe. I mean, anything's possible, but where did the water go? I think it's leaking down into the fault. That's exactly what I think. It's disappearing in this area right here. Is it going to trigger an earthquake? I don't know. It very well could. If you do some research and you research new dams and reservoirs that have been built historically around the world, in a lot of cases, a year or two later, the water from the big reservoirs seeps down into the ground and it triggers ancient fault lines and causes big earthquakes. It happens almost every single time. When the Hoover Dam was built back in the 30s, wasn't too long after they filled the reservoir, there was a 5.7 earthquake right at Hoover Dam. And it's not on a known fault line. So if this water is disappearing down into the fault, yes, it could trigger the fault. Absolutely. Is it? We'll just have to wait and see. I hope not. But if you're living in this area, that's something to be prepared for. You should be prepared for that at any time. But right now, with water disappearing right above the fault zone, I think it would be an excellent time to have a earthquake drill in place, because this water is going somewhere. And if you guys see any of this type of phenomenon in any river or any body of water, whether an ocean, a lake, especially the Mississippi River here in this area, send pictures. Reports at MrMBB333.com. Thanks for watching, guys, and be safe out there.